This is how much coffee I drank for the past few months. All from specialty coffee roasteries, washed, espresso, drip, black honey. Made at home using cold brew method, AeroPress, and paper drip filters. 10 years ago, however, the coffee industry was drastically different, dominated by Starbucks and Dunkin. Now 73% of Americans drink coffee every day, and a majority of them brew it at home. To the surprise of many, this $400 billion industry is about to change forever because of the new behavioral patterns and consumer habits that transformed coffee from a commodity to a luxury hobby of the most affluent customers. This is a story of a radical shift in coffee market dynamics, expensive brewing accessories, and the hobby that makes people suffer. And it all started during the pandemic. You know how boomers always tell millennials that saving on a couple coffee runs each week would already buy them a house? Well, we all know it's not entirely true, and not only because of inflation and higher housing rates relative to income, but also because a daily Starbucks coffee cup is actually way cheaper than maintaining a third wave coffee setup at home. Specialty coffee, or Third Wave Coffee Movement, originated back in the 1970s, treats coffee as if it was fine wine. They emphasize high quality of raw materials, focusing on different countries of origin with distinct flavor characteristics, different types of processing and roasting, and a diverse range of brewing methods. Specialty coffee brings craftsmanship to the coffee industry, treating each step of the coffee production like an artisanal process, bringing maximum value to the coffee connoisseurs. And while back in the aughts, these guys were considered coffee nerds, for the past 10 years, the coffee industry became more snobbish than ever before. You know, sometimes I get nostalgic about 2015, when meeting your friends at Starbucks over a cup of pumpkin spice latte with cream was not cringy. Back then, the economics of coffee industry were based on the concept of coffee as a social experience. That's the reason why Starbucks became the #1 coffee brand. They answered a consumer demand not necessarily for the best coffee, but for the best coffee experience. A nice interior, friendly baristas, pleasant music and comfy chairs. That's what people really wanted when coffee was about having a good time out. But then the pandemic struck, and this social element was forced out. Consumer habits, however, are very powerful. They allow us to create and identify behavioral patterns, forecast sales, build and optimize marketing funnels. Before the pandemic, over half of Americans purchased at least one coffee a week at the coffee shops. Lacking social interactions and missing these weekly rituals, consumers created a completely new coffee ritual that wasn't dependent on the social aspect anymore. That's funny how during the pandemic people started drinking 8% more coffee, although they didn't have to wake up as early without commutes. Repeating a familiar process, people were finding it empty, lacking emotional depth and meaning. Coffee experience needed a rebranding, and that's when specialty coffee became a very convenient solution for this loneliness problem. Just think about it. During the pandemic, we all felt somewhat lonely, stuck at home, and unable to lead the usual lifestyle. The most popular solution for this uneasy feeling, suggested by psychologists, were rituals and routines. The Third Wave Coffee Movement offered a perfect escape that required people to focus on meticulous processes rather than social interactions previously associated with coffee. And that's how the coffee experience changed positioning to more individualistic, focused on quality and craftsmanship. Specialty coffee became a hobby that requires not only a certain level of skills that people began to acquire practicing again at their home breweries, but also a substantial investment in the equipment. Once consumers started treating coffee like fine wine, it was impossible to order pre-ground Starbucks beans. Remember, we are talking about quite a snobbish approach to coffee. Companies like Baratza, who make coffee grinders, saw a 70% growth in sales during the pandemic. Italian appliance manufacturer DeLonghi saw a dramatic increase of 72% in sales in early 2021, as the demand for espresso machines was surging globally. Rich coffee hobbyists, as they are called in some articles, spent up to $420 million chasing the perfect god shot of home-brewed espresso. No wonder it's so expensive. Let's crunch some numbers. First, of course, you need an espresso machine. A decent one costs from $1,000 to $5,000. Then, a grinder, ranging from $500 to $2,000. You can find accessories like temper, steam wand, scale, distribution tool, knockbox, portafilter, and basket starting at $100 each. Of course, you should get some alternative brewing methods accessories like pour-over kit, French press, AeroPress, Chemex, or paper drip bags. It will cost you an additional $150 for each. Not counting cups and beans, the whole setup starts at around $2,000. And it's not that much compared to $4,600 machines from Decent Espresso, a company that sells futuristic machinery packed with technology for precision-guided espresso. This innovative design allows you to make your shot of espresso based on a data-driven approach, as the screen shows you real-time graphs of changing parameters as the brewing progresses. The irony is that buying all this expensive equipment, quality beans from specialty roasters, and brewing it with the most rigorous precision won't guarantee you this god shot. And to be completely honest, it won't even guarantee you a good cup of coffee. My friend, who's a huge coffee enthusiast, struggled a lot with his espresso setup.
From my experience, you have 90 ways of pulling an awful espresso shot and only 10 that can give you something better than mass market espresso machine. This is a hobby, and you must be ready to spend a lot of time and coffee beans learning how to set things right. Probably money can help to avoid some of the problems, but if you're not ready to spend several grand just to try a new hobby, get ready to things like calibrating grinder with aluminum foil.
And I think it's precisely what makes a new coffee industry transformation the most interesting one yet. It makes people suffer. The difficulty of extracting the perfect espresso and the precision you need to perfectly time and measure your pour-over is insane. However, it is a well-known branding trick that makes coffee enthusiasts appreciate their hobby even more. This cognitive bias is called the IKEA effect, meaning that consumers tend to see high value in products that they have partially created. In our case, this value is raised even more because of the challenge that comes with coffee brewing. Initially high quality standards set very high expectations. And when you finally overcome all these challenges of consistent grinding, high enough pressure and right room temperature, and extract somewhat bearable coffee for the first time, it will taste better than anything in the world. Because of the IKEA effect. This time and effort put into conquering a coffee brewing process is what actually makes it a new luxury hobby. Not only the expensive machinery and collaborations with luxury brands like La Marzocco and Rimowa, Blue Bottle and Aesop. This endless chase for a god shot and the perfection of your brewing methods are the new behavioral patterns that will change the coffee industry forever. So let's enjoy the show over a cup.